I get to start playing Christmas music now. What's going on, WrestleTalk friends and fans? I am the Quizzlemania champion Tempest, coming at you with another edition of the WrestleTalk Recap. This, of course, is the weekly show where I break down the news and notes in the week of professional wrestling and give you the chance to catch up on anything you may have missed from all of WrestleTalk's YouTube channels. Speaking of, this week we had Survivor Jams. The one night a year where Luke Owen and Mr. Davis go head-to-head in competition. Wink. Survivor Jams saw a clean sweep of Team Lukewarm, but that was not the story of the day.
Hang on.
Ollie and Luke. How typical that you would make the championship something about just you two. What about El Fakidor?
No, at the end of all things, we had El Fakidor making his return and promising to come for Mr. Davis's Jam That Championship. Also this week, we had Quizzlemania 23. As WrestleTalk imploded around us, Randy Andy Datson and I were able to capture the interim Quizzlemania Tag Team Champions.
Is that your official guess?
Smoking guns.
It was indeed the smoking.
Oh, that's tough. That wasn't going to be my answer. I was going to say
No, me neither. Me neither.
I love you, that.
Wow.
Just call me Two Title Tempest, people, because I ain't leaving. The match of the week this week is going to go to a WWE match, of course, and that is Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre from Survivor Series. By far the best match of the show, these two had a very good main event caliber match. It was a little bit slow starting out, but by the end, it had really picked up into a fantastic match. Roman Reigns was once again able to pick up the victory over Drew, going to 3-0 on pay-per-view against him. The show of the week is going to be NXT. This week's NXT was pretty much stacked from top to bottom, with great matches like Timothy Thatcher versus Kushida and Pete Dunne versus Kyle O'Reilly in a ladder match for the War Games advantage. These matches were good, but the big news on the night was Toni Storm turning heel on Ember Moon. Toni Storm, of course, then joining Candice LeRae's team for War Games, as Ember Moon, Rhea Ripley, and Io Shirai will most likely be joining Team Shotzi. Taking a look at the news this week, we had the retirement of The Undertaker. Of course, everyone retires in wrestling 12 times before they actually retire, so we'll have to wait and see if The Undertaker actually holds true, but by the looks of it, he may be done. Fear not, though, he has a backup plan already. $1,000 cameos. Also this week we had some tragic news as Jimmy Rave, former Ring of Honor and TNA star, announced that he had to have his left arm amputated due to an infection, thus bringing about the end of his in-ring career. From all of us here at WrestleTalk, we wish Jimmy nothing but the best going forward in what can only be a very difficult time. This week's shows kicked off with the Survivor Series pay-per-view. The show, of course, featured a bunch of Raw versus SmackDown matches, none of which were all that great until you got to the aforementioned Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre match. Raw won the night, but Roman Reigns was standing tall, representing SmackDown by the end of things. Also on the show, you had The Undertaker's retirement ceremony. They brought out just about every legend they could get their hands on to come out, wave, and, well, disappear, before The Undertaker came out and said it is time for The Undertaker to rest in peace. The next night on Raw, we had the suspension of Braun Strowman as a result of him headbutting Adam Pearce, and then we had a series of qualifying matches to determine the #1 contender for TLC. Keith Lee, Riddle, and AJ Styles were able to advance to next week's #1 contendership match, and the winner of that match will face Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship. We've already talked about NXT at length, so on the other channel we had AEW Dynamite. In a second attempt, Jon Moxley and Kenny Omega had a contract signing that saw Jon Moxley attack Kenny Omega during his entrance, laying him out on the title before cutting a promo and signing the contract. We also had the long-awaited return of Abaddon, who seems to be the next challenger for Hikaru Shida's AEW Women's World Championship. Over on SmackDown, we had the development of Roman Reigns' next feud, that being against Kevin Owens. The two will likely face off for the Universal Championship at TLC, but we will have to wait and see to know for sure. Also on the show, Daniel Bryan and Sami Zayn had a fantastic match. American Dragon facing El Generico. just the way it should be. And of course, we have the continuation of both the Best of the Super Juniors and World Tag League tournaments. Hiromu Takahashi and Taiji Ishimori are both on top of the Best of the Super Juniors with 10 points each as of this video, and in the other tournament, Shingo Takagi and Sanada, Tomohiro Ishii and Toru Yano, and Taichi and Zack Sabre Jr. are in a three-way tie with 8 points on top of the World Tag League. As a result of scheduling and whatnot, we have 2 Adam Blampied lists to talk about this week. First up is the 15 most thunderous returns in wrestling history.
I was there. The only entry on this list where I can say I was there. The crowd may not seem as loud as other entries on this list because there's no roof on the Camping World Stadium, but you're gonna have to trust me when I say it was unlike anything that WWE had seen for decades.
And then the second is the 10 greatest one-off entrances in wrestling history.
Well, I did promise I would make this list, didn't I? We've already covered which superstars have the best regular entrances in wrestling in a separate list, and I would like to use this time now to officially apologize for not putting Goldust on that list.
Over on WrestleTalk.com, we have more Adam Blampied content as he cut a pipe bomb, in written form of course, detailing whether Survivor Series deserves to be kept around. Mr. Ollie Davis also put virtual pen to virtual paper to write a piece about WWE's lack of reaction to Zelina Vega's release. It was a big week for Parts Fun Known, as Laurie Blake returned with another edition of Explained, this time taking an in-depth look at The Undertaker.
But perhaps the most lovely twist about this inspiration is that most wrestling gimmicks involved being a job and a wrestler. Mark Calloway was an undertaker and a wrestler, but Western morticians were often undertakers and furniture salesmen.
Also on Parts Fun Known, wrestling YouTubers taking a look back at their memories of Survivor Series through the years.
Yeah, it's the last kind of great stipulation.
They gave the Shield every advantage that you could possibly have.
I compared it when we did the review of it to The Sixth Sense.
The biggest reason is evolution. His character always changed as the years went on.
Brett is grumpy, Sean's a prick, and Vince was wrong.
And finally, once again, we had Quizzlemania 23. WrestleTalk implodes.
Starting now.
Oh, live sex, live sex.
I'll be accepting my Oscar any day now. And of course, here on Wrestle2, we have another week's worth of Wrestling Daily with Alex McCarthy.
But the whole story is about Cameron Grimes and Dexter Lumis. So per Jake Atlas, it's just an afterthought while these two Scooby-Doo villain rejects bring out the latest bit of bondage equipment for another match.
And Simon Longden watching The Undertaker's cameos on ScreenGrapple so you don't have to.
You made the fat rest in peace.
And over on Phenomenerds, we have a ton of board game related content for you this week. We had 2 lists from Adam Blampied this week. First up, 10 games that you can play over Zoom.
But one thing we at Phenomenos want you to do is play better virtual games. I refuse to do any more of Susan's quizzes. I don't care if they took her all day to put together. That's heartbreaking enough.
Then we had 10 quick reaction games for you to buy. I suck at these.
Snap, Spoons, Get Down Mr. President, Quick Piggy Jump the Fence, 58-Second Midwife, Brazilian Marbles, Hanged, Quick Drawn and Quartered, Usain Bolt Monopoly, Dr. Quick Medicine Woman, Run Lola Run the board game, or that game we have to try and slap each other's hands and I'm so bad at that one.
You then had the gang playing Spyfall in a Let's Play, and you had Adam completely losing his mind.
Alright, everyone stop talking about your personal lives, it's time for fun! Now, did you watch all the tutorial videos I sent around? Why not? Look, it's only 40 minutes long, okay? Derek left you, Sarah. You've got 40 minutes.
And that just about wraps it up for another edition of the WrestleTalk Recap. I've been Tempest from WrestleTalk.com. Make sure to give this video a like, share, and subscribe to stay notified, and make sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Our Instagram is @WrestleTalk.official. Our Twitter is @WrestleTalk_TV. You can follow me on Twitter @TempestWT, and I will see you next time.